all the moms in the world, let's chat it up. We're talking competitions, uniforms, and all of the above. It's the Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Moms, your podcast is on.
This is not a true crime podcast. Let me just say that right out of the gate. However, I know that there are some of you cheer moms out there that like things other than cheer, and I'm here to talk about it just for a minute. So if you do not want to hear about true crime for the next couple of minutes, or you're not from Canton, Massachusetts, just like skip forward 2 or 3 minutes and you'll miss all of this. Or if you don't, like, I'm going to say a cuss word because there is no other way to describe this. I don't think I have ever cussed on this podcast. So if that's going to ruin your image, also fast forward. Kids, Aunt Kristen is about to say a cuss word. I'm going to bleep it out, but there's just no other appropriate word. Okay, so I've never really been into true crime. I don't like murder stuff. I started my true crime era during the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, probably like the rest of us. I listened to the first podcast I ever listened to, along with the rest of the world, was Serial, with the case about Adnan Syed, but I don't really count that. That was like my first podcast experience. I really got into like pop culture, true crime, high profile cases with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. I was hooked then, and you've heard me talk about, I follow this YouTuber. Her name is Emily D. Baker before, and she is hilarious and provides legal commentary and breaks it down in human speak and in a very entertaining way. I follow her religiously now, and she only covers like pop culture cases and then like most high profile cases, as long as they don't involve small children. So she's covering like the Idaho murders. She covered Depp v. Heard. She covered the Gwyneth Paltrow case, and she's covering the Karen Reed trial. And if you haven't heard of Karen Reed, again, it's just like a little few taps of the fast forward 15 seconds button. But what in the holy hell is going on with all of the f***ery out in Canton, Massachusetts? You guys, what in the world? If you're following this case, first, I am sorry to you who live in or near the Canton, Boston area, especially Canton. It seems like a lovely small town. This case seems to have really ripped this community. If this were happening in my town, I think I would feel a certain way about it. But there is so much f***ery going on in this case. If you're still with me, here's the short of it. A woman and her boyfriend were driving to someone's house in the snow. Boyfriend was found dead near the curb the next morning. She woke up at his house and she's like, where is he? Or he was gone all night. And she's like, where is he? Where is he? And she's, maybe he's still at the house, because they like got in a fight, like an argument, and she left him. So she goes back to the house and finds his body. She is accused of murder because she's accused of backing her car into him and hitting him. Pretty cut and dry, you would think. No, the opening line of the defense team of her defense attorney at her trial was Karen Reed was framed. There is all kinds of conspiracy theories, and I'm not one to go all in on a conspiracy theory, but another YouTuber that I followed that I just listened to today was like, the conspiracy is the only thing that explains everything. There's so much that doesn't make sense. There's cops that didn't do chain of custody right. They collected evidence in red Solo cups and used a leaf blower, and a dog was rehomed. They sold their house that's been in the family for generations. Cell phones were not only rehomed, but like SIM cards were destroyed and then thrown away on a military base. There's ring cameras in the neighborhood, but no ring footage. It's just disappeared. And footage has disappeared from the police station, and they are still retrying this woman. It was a hung jury. They declared a mistrial, and now they are retrying her, and there's all kinds of fuckery going on, and I feel a way about it. All that to say, I will be in Providence, Rhode Island, April 5th, 6th, something like that weekend. And I was like, how far is Providence from the Boston area? Turns out it's like less than an hour, or right about an hour, I guess, if there's traffic. I was looking this up with my husband around, who I am slowly reeling in, I'm reeling him into my true crime world, because I only follow the cases with like really good storytelling. You have to spoon feed me a lot of this stuff. I love a good story, and I am reeling him into those cases. And I've been going nuts about the Karen Read trial for about 9 months. And I'm looking this up and I'm like, I could totally go. And as it turns out, basically, if everything goes as planned, and if they don't drop this case, which they should drop the charges, but they're not, if everything goes as planned and they don't delay the trial, which it's looking like they aren't, I will be there on opening argument day. It's a packed courtroom. I would love to be in the courtroom on a high profile case like that. My hopes are not high, and I'm not going to cause problems. I'm not going to be like super touristy, but I am going to quietly go to CF McCarthy's, and I'm going to go to the waterfall, and I'm going to go to these places and immerse myself in the details and the timeline of this incident. There's too much. There's like whole TikToks about with the flow chart and the red strings and who's connected to who and who got rid of what and what conspiracies are out there and who could have and should have seen a body laying there all night that just didn't. So I'm going to immerse myself in this, and I'm just going to quietly, because these businesses have started to complain about the people coming in and harassing them because of the true crime audience. I'm not going to do all that. I'm not going to cause a scene, but I'm going to go to the places where they went. I'm going to at least stand around the courthouse for a little bit to see if I can see what I can see. If her defense team just walked past me, I'm not calling them Jesus, but just to touch the hem of his suit jacket, bless. That's my true crime update. If you guys like true crime and are looking for true crime episodes, nobody asked me to do this, but if you're looking for true crime podcasts, Emily D. Baker, she has a YouTube channel. She streams like 3 days a week. I just finished listening to the first 2 seasons of the In the Dark podcast, In the Dark. Your Own Backyard is probably one of the best podcasts that I've ever listened to. And if you want to catch up on the Karen Read case, like literally just open whatever app you listen to podcasts in and type in Karen Read, and you will find all kinds of commentary, I'm sure, for or against her. There's a podcast called The Prosecutors. They're great. They're smart. They tend to be cynical for my taste, but just type in Karen Read, and if you like rabbit holes, have I got one for you, Alice? Okay, a little longer than 2 or 3 minutes. Hopefully I haven't lost listeners over this. I can talk about like hair and makeup and other things that I like, but this true crime, this Karen Read thing, and she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. And I'm sorry if your cousin or your hairdresser's husband is in law enforcement in Canton or works for the government in Canton, but I don't ever want to be accused of a crime in that area. My goodness. Oh, and the lead investigator was calling the defendant a see you next Tuesday and text messages to his boss. Like, okay, cheerleading. Get back to it. Cheerleading. Here's a segue for you. I just did my Boston accent, my impression of a Boston accent. I was just in Atlanta for Cheersport, and I had something like 13 or 14 photo shoots in one day. The day before the competition started, I had all of these photo shoots, and one of my first shoots of the day was with a group of 7, mostly 7 and 8-year-olds. They were little. They were just absolutely adorable. They were little. I got the cutest group photos of them and we had a great time. They were from Jersey. The moms were lovely and wonderful, but they were every stereotype of a cheer mom from Jersey. And I know that you guys listened. So shout out to you, Jersey cheer moms. I know that they listened to the podcast and I nothing but admiration and respect. I was dying, almost fell on the floor laughing because I'm taking pictures of these girls and it's freezing cold and they're in their little cheer outfits and the little girls, like their lips are turning blue. They're so cold. And it's, Mom, I don't want to do this. They wanted to take pictures, but it was so cold. And the moms are like behind me. They're like, fix your hair. Viv, you gotta fix your hair. Get the makeup off your teeth. Wait, she needs more hairspray. It was the best. And we had a lot of fun. And speaking of Cheersport, yes, I went to Cheersport for the first time since 2020. Cheersport was the last cheer event and really the last event that I went to before the world shut down. Although before it got really serious and all these like large gatherings were being canceled. It was that transitional time between don't go anywhere with large groups of people, but also the stay-at-home stuff hadn't gone into effect. So we were like, shoot, we have a free weekend. Like we were supposed to be in Phoenix for a cheer competition and they canceled the whole event. And so we picked up and we went to Hawaii. It was not like we didn't break any rules. We found a cheap Airbnb and a cheap flight to Hawaii, and we and another family went to Hawaii and for 6 days, and it was amazing. And then we got home, and that's when it was literally like the day before we got home, they put the stay-at-home order in place, and we were one of the last flights out of Maui before they said, nobody come here anymore. Because when we got there, they only had one confirmed case on the island, and we had a good time. But yeah, I went to Cheersport. My friend went to NCA that year, and that was like literally days before the world shut down. It was great. Cheersport is one of my favorite cheer events. I've said that for years. Going back this year, I'm not sure why I've said that, because it's such chaos. It could be because it was my first cheer event outside of the summit that was like the huge cheer event with the world stage, and they just had, when everything was contained and they had all the signage and they had the music and I was like, what is happening? This is so cool. So it could be that I have that nostalgia tied to it. It's a great event, but it is utter chaos. Cheersport, it's chaos. And you're walking. I have shin splints from Cheersport, like actual shin splints, and like weird places of my body hurt. Like I have this like spot on my back that you would think I have a kidney infection because it's just the one spot. I don't have a kidney infection, just the one spot. I don't know why my back hurts there, but actual shin splints. There's a spot on my hand that's swollen for absolutely no reason. I cried for really no reason at some points. Good times. But I'm going to talk about my Cheersport experience having an adult athlete. So my daughter came back out of retirement to be on an open team, and they went to Cheersport. And it was this whole other experience she'll be 21 in June, having an almost 21-year-old kid competing. It was a whole different thing being a cheer mom with an adult cheerleader. So I'm going to unpack what that was like and go through my Cheersport experience and talk a little bit more about tips at Cheersport. I've given some before, but now that I've come back after 5 years, I have some new tips and some different perspectives, maybe some added resources. So I'm going to give that to you in this episode. Let's go. This episode of the Cheer Mom podcast is brought to you by all of our new favorite sock company, Apollo. You may have seen them at a recent cheer event, and they are changing the game for cheer athletes, coaches, and even cheer moms. Listen to more of the episode to learn more and find out how you can get 10% off of your order. Have you ever met someone with a tattoo and asked them why they chose that specific tattoo? They probably had a story about how it's significant to them. I have 3 tattoos, and they all have a very deep and meaningful significance to me. And every time someone comments on one, I'm like, thanks. And then I give them like a 5-minute explanation about why it's important to me. Even if tattoos aren't your thing, I think that we all need little encouragements and things that are specific to us that remind us of the things we love most and the words that motivate us to keep going. And that's why I started TCC Jewelry. The necklaces, bracelets, and rings are simple and engraved with little words that have special meaning, like hit 0, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 1, 3, 5, 7, and more. And check out the new collections like the Faith Collection and introducing the Dance Collection, baseball, softball, and volleyball collections. Get something special for yourself or that special athlete or coach in your life today by visiting tccjewelry.com and enter coupon code CheerMomPod for 15% off your order. That's tccjewelry.com and enter coupon code CheerMomPod for 15% off. Okay, so first thing, my daughter does not live with us. She lives an hour away. Got her little old self to the airport. I was like, "Hey, do you want to come down and stay the night and drive up with us?" I'm always looking for an excuse and a reason for her to stay the night. I don't try to push it, but because she loves, ever since birth, she's loved to be independent and needs her own space and needs her own nest. And I totally identify with that and I get that. But there's also this, do you just want to stay over? It's raining outside. Why don't you not drive home and just stay over? Just come over. Can you come over? And so I was like, you could drive to the airport with us. You don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to find a ride, blah, blah, blah. She's very good about not letting anybody drive her car because it's only insured for her and all that. But she's, no, I'm going to find a ride, or I think I'm going to take public transit to the airport. And I'm like, how do you know how to do that? You're like a whole adult. Like the whole weekend was like, but you're a full adult. What's happening? So she gets herself to the airport, gets herself there way before us, is like waiting at the gate for us, just happy as a clam. She's got all her stuff. But I texted her in the morning before she left because she was updating me with see you soon or whatever. And I texted her, I was like, please don't forget your uniform and your shoes and your bow. I said, I can't not say that. Like, I don't like that I'm with you to ask you those things. She has never forgotten that I can recall. She may have gotten the wrong practice top, but that's irrelevant. It was not this year, but 1 year she forgot it. But ever since I can pack myself, like I'm a big girl. When she was in 8th, 9th grade, probably before then, because I would send her a packing list. I don't need a packing list. I got it. Even her last few years in high school, I would ask her like 5, 6 times, do you have your bow? Do you have your shoes? Do you have your uniform? Because I'm like that with my own self. Like I had all these photo shoots and I needed to bring my camera. And I knew that I packed my camera. I must have checked at least twice on the ride up to the airport. Like, do I have my camera? And I would open my backpack and just make sure it was still there. Make sure it was still there. And so you can imagine with my daughter, I'm like, do you have your uniform? Do you have your skirt? Do you have your top? Do you have your clear bra or whatever? Not clear bra, but bra with the clear straps or whatever. She's like, Mom, you've asked me like 5 times. Yes, I have it. So it was no different with her being 20. Like, I don't like that I'm not with you to try and have eyes on these things and feel like I have control over the situation. She might have been humoring me, but we got to the airport and she was like, I actually almost forgot my bow. And when you texted me, I checked again. And I'm glad you said that. I'm like, oh my God, you're welcome. Welcome that I project my anxiety onto your life. Everything else was like, hey Mom, she needed a couple things from me. And I was like, so glad it was like hairspray and dry shampoo or something. I would love to bring your hairspray. Would you need anything else? Can I do anything else for you? She's like, no, I'm good. Like, I baked her a cake, whichever I love baking, but I never make dinners or baked goods for her really. And I just like, I have to do something. So like I brought her cake and that was the whole thing. And like, can I do anything else for you? And she was just super chill. When she was in, especially like middle school, that 12, 13, 14-year-old range, it's pretty rough. Airport travel can be intense and it's high stress sometimes because you're doing all the things and you're taking off your shoes and you want to make sure you're in the right spot and don't do the wrong thing. And it was just, she just handled it all. And so my husband and I just did our thing and met up with her at the gate. There were a few cheer people on our plane, maybe one cheer family. We got there early because I had all those shoots the day before the competition started. So a lot of people flew in the next morning. So we got in at 8, 9 p.m., got to our hotel, checked in, and I start getting ready for my shoots. And so like I'm settled in and I'm like, okay. Oh, so we're also here for cheer. So what's the schedule? What are we doing? Normally I have the email, and before iPhones and everything were popular, before you could manage your whole life from your phone, I was printing out schedules and I was printing out things and putting them in a folder so that I could just refer to them really quickly. And so it was nice to not have to worry about every single detail and having to get her where she needed to be, when she needed to be there with the right practice bow, with the right this and that and the other, and navigating all of that. I was just like, okay, so what are we doing? She's like, well, I forwarded you the email. I'm like, yeah, I still haven't read that email. I still haven't opened that email. And everything turned out okay. Do as I say, not as I do, cheer moms. Read your emails. She's, yeah, like we have practice tomorrow night. And so I was just chill. They chilled. My husband and my daughter, they went to the College Football Hall of Fame, which they said was fine. It was cool. It wasn't too crowded. So that's something you can add to your list of things to do. There's like interactive things. It's connected to the convention center. So they did that while I did my shoots during the day. If you are a Rebel fan, especially if you're like a mid-Rebel fan, like you're not a Rebel fan. If you're not a super fan, but like you like it and you want to check it out, do that on Friday. They run out of things. I wouldn't recommend, unless you're there for the new drops, don't go right when they open on the first day. There was a line. There were people, they didn't care that it was cold. They were there for it. They were ready to go. But the Rebel store has appearances. And when Navarro was first, when the Netflix thing first came out, they had all the people taking pictures. And now they'll still have Gabby Butler, and they still have some of the Rebel feature models and like Sam and things like that. They'll take pictures with them. And this year, actually, right next to the Rebel store was the Infinity store, which I thought was really cool because you're not having to like hunt things down and it's just all right there. So the Infinity store was there, and that's always a fun time. Visit the Infinity store. They have shoes. They have a whole Infinity shop. I think they had something interactive. I didn't go into either store, so I'm not really sure. But the hardcore people are there, like line out the door before they open. This episode of the Cheer Mom podcast is brought to you by Apollo Performance Socks. As a longtime seasoned cheer mom, I have seen firsthand how demanding this sport can be on young athletes' bodies, especially their feet and ankles. Enter Apollo Performance Socks. These socks are seriously a game changer. The targeted support and compression have made a world of difference, not just for athletes, but for me, I'm not an athlete. It literally feels like a hug for your feet. I had a cheer mom tell me it feels like these socks were licked onto my feet by kittens. Apollo Performance Socks help athletes to practice longer, recover faster, and focus on performance instead of pain. If your cheer athlete is dealing with foot or ankle issues, I highly recommend giving Apollo socks a try. Visit apolloperformance.com and use code CHEERMOM2024 for 10% off of your order. That's Apollo, APOLLA, performance.com, and enter code CHEERMOM2024. So by the time I was done with my shoots, my husband was waiting for me at our favorite place. Every time we go to Atlanta, we love Der Biergarten. It's right there on Marietta Street. It's actually right next to the Rebel shop. But we stumbled upon it our first year at Cheersport in 2018 or 2019. We go every year, every time we're in Atlanta for cheer or not. My husband likes it because it has all of the German beers that they have at Oktoberfest, but they also have authentic German food, and it's really hard to find authentic German food everywhere you go. And this place it's legit, and it's so good. And it's not very crowded. There were cheer families there, but because it says like beer garden, I think that shies people away from bringing kids. It does have a bar-ish feel, but it has more of an Oktoberfest feel. And I had the thought, because we went there, my husband went 3 or 4 times. I went twice over the weekend. I had the thought, like, this is on the blog. I've talked about it on the podcast several times. And I'm like, I need to shut up about this because I need to get a seat at this place. You guys stay away from there. Save me a seat if you do go. But it turns out that the staff at the beer garden, they love Cheersport weekend. They are ready for the kids coming up and asking for the air hockey pucks or the foosball balls, and they're here for it. It's a lot of fun, and we had a good time with those guys. And so my favorite spots. My husband and I had our little German Valentine's dinner while my daughter was at practice. I'm pretty sure that we met up with her somewhere and then we just Ubered back to the hotel. On that note, if you go to Cheersport, it is going to be cheaper and faster if you just walk. If you're within a mile, I'm not kidding, if you're within a mile of the convention center, like if your hotel is, it's going to be faster and cheaper to walk. I hate to break it to you, but half of our group walked to the hotel and half of us hopped in an Uber. The group that walked they were waiting on us in the lobby and had already ordered DoorDash and everything, which my daughter did too. She's just like, I got DoorDash. I was tired of messing around with all you turkeys deciding where to eat. Everything closes at 9 p.m., by the way. All of the restaurants, they close at 9 p.m. So that's new information to me. There are some DoorDash places like Zaxby's and stuff that stay open, but all of the restaurants around the convention center closed at 9 p.m. Let this be a warning to you. How have I talked about Cheersport for over 20 minutes? I don't know. Someone was like, you should talk about your Cheersport experience with an adult cheerleader. And I was like, I don't think I have a lot to say about that, but here we are. All right. So competition day comes around and she had a late compete time. It was 8:45, night 1, night 2. And so you're just sitting around all day. I hate those late report times because you have to save your energy, but you're bored, and then you have too much time to get in your head. My daughter handled it really well. We caught her standing on the end table, not stunting, but She was like, this is the problem with having a late compete time is you get bored. You got to occupy and entertain yourself in a hotel room because it was cold outside. Atlanta's not like very safe. And there's not a lot to do, especially if you are under 21. So we just hung out and I was like, I'm going to go. Kitty Cats was there. So I'm going to go say hi to Kitty Cats. And do you want to come with me? And she's, yeah, I want to come with you. She's, Mom, I've been a fan of kitty cats since before you even knew what kitty cats were. I was like, okay, great. So we got to visit with kitty cats for just a minute. We got to go to their team room and say hi. And they're so cute. Oh my, you guys, they're so cute. They're at that age where they're like, they're not little girls. Like they're little girls, but they have the mind of almost adults and they like can talk to you like adults. I was like, okay, I had something for you guys, but now is not a great time. I'll have something to give all of you later. And they were all like, oh, that's so sweet. And they're like, yeah, come take a picture. And oh my gosh, they're just adorable. This kitty cats bit is going to have to end soon because it is starting to get a little weird. Their team moms insist that it's not weird, but it's going to be time for me to hang out my cheer shoes, hang out my kitty cat's bow, as it were. But until then, I'm soaking it up. I love them to death. So then comes time we're getting close to the time where my daughter has to get ready, competition ready. When she was younger, it was just like, give me my space. I can do my own makeup. I can do my own hair, leave me alone, let me get focused. And so this time it's, okay, do you want me around? Do you want me close by? Do you want some space? And she's, no, can you stay with me? She's like, I can put on my makeup and then can you do my hair because we have to do a really high ponytail. No shade to her team or any team that does this. Like TGLC is doing it this year. I'm just not a fan of these bouffant beehive high ponytails, like teased high pony. I'm just not a fan. I can't tell you why. I just don't love the look. I don't know. Like it's cool, but it's not for me. It's not my favorite. But we had never done, actually the first year that she was on an all-star team, they had a high pony. And it wasn't until the last, or like they had the teased pony. It wasn't until the very last competition of the season that I figured out how to do that. And that was over 10 years. It was 11, 12 years ago. But she's, can you help me? And I was like, I'm pretty rusty. I will try. But she wanted to watch some of her cheer friends that she's been friends with since they were like 4. She wanted to watch them compete. So we walked to the venue, watched them compete, and went back to the team room and did her hair in the team room. I'm not against doing hair in the team room. I'm against sitting in the middle of the walkway, sitting in the middle of the hallway doing hair. I don't think that's a good look. I know that you don't have much of a choice, but as I say, there is always a quiet, secluded place to find in a convention center. Atlanta, it's a little harder to find, but I'm telling you right now, it exists. Anyway, so I'm doing her hair in the team room. I will post a high teased ponytail tutorial because I was rusty. Thank God our hairstylist is also a cheer mom and a cheer mom at our gym and happened to be in the team room because I was like, I'm almost there, but I'm missing a piece. So she showed me some tips and tricks on teasing that pony, and especially teasing the pony on my daughter who has all of the hair in the world. It took a good 45 minutes to do that on her hair. Day 2, it took a little less time because I was a little bit more confident, but it still was a solid half hour. And my shoulder was tired. Like my arms got tired from all that teasing. And my heart broke from doing that to her beautiful hair. Maybe that's part of why I don't love the high tease pony, because it just breaks my heart that we're doing that to your hair and it's like a beast to get out. And pro tip, find you a conditioning mask. You can get one on Amazon. I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes and with my hair tips. But I use it on my hair once or twice a week when I wash my hair. I use conditioner, but then I use a conditioning mask, which is like a deep conditioner. So I would recommend that for girls who have to tease their hair and who have to really do a lot to their hair for cheer days. It will help heal and restore and add moisture back into their hair. I'll just give you a glimpse into how much hair my daughter has and how much bird's nest we have to put into it. My comb, like my sturdy wet comb, broke in her hair. That's how much hair and how much teasing. Yeah. So day one, I'm pretty tired. I'm already overstimulated. I'm feeling irritated for no good reason other than just being tired and overstimulated. I didn't have a lot of room or time to be nervous. I actually don't even really remember performance one. It was good and it made my heart happy. But the thing about this team that my daughter is on, we mentioned it in our last podcast together, is that it's an open co-ed level 4 team, which at first I was like, what? And yeah, she came out of retirement for it and the whole thing. But there's pressure and it's not easy for these adults, but these are also adults who mostly have been on a world's team, who have successfully done world's level stunts, who can twist their bodies, but their bodies don't like twisting anymore, who have those upper level skills. And it's not necessarily stacking their team, but there is a sense of, at least from my perspective, there's a sense of less pressure. Like it's still very difficult for an adult to throw a standing tuck. But like I've said before, world's teams and world's athletes are doing things that defy the human body, that defy gravity, wicked reference, it's like this, it's almost like Evel Knievel jumping buildings, right? It's possible that he could do it, but he might not. That's what it feels like to watch a world's team athlete, unless it's like TGLC and some of those like really popular teams where they hit doubles. They can do them in their sleep. I don't understand what they are giving those kids in Florida. But so far this season, it hasn't been perfect and they haven't hit zero every routine. But the pressure has just been so much less for me. My daughter, like Abby, was nervous because she cares so much and she wants to succeed and she wants her team to succeed. But it's just been so much fun watching her. And she's even said several times that she's just having fun. Like practice is fun. It's relaxed, not in the sense that they're just like whatever, but everyone is there to work. Everyone is serious about it, but they have fun. There's not so much personal stake in it. They're all confident. It seems like none of them are insecure. There's not backbiting or backstabbing. There's people up to age like 34, 35 on this team. So there's just a level of maturity and calmness that I get the sense of. So it's just been really fun to watch her. On that note, we were walking around the convention center, and the Atlanta Convention Center has the aquarium is like right there. It's basically connected to the World Congress Center. And there were some people. It's so funny because people were stopping me to ask for directions. And I'm like, do I look like I know what I'm doing? But I did. There was one lady who was like, excuse me, where is Cheersport? We're here for Cheersport. And she had a daughter or two in uniform, and they were like heading in the opposite direction, like way far away. And I was like, turn around and then just walk that way and start following the cheerleaders. But there was this little cute family, a mom and dad and a toddler. And they were like, can you tell us what's going on here? What kind of competition is this? And we were like, it's a cheer competition. And they were like, for what? Like school? And we explained that. And well, what are the ages? And I go, anywhere from age 5 to 35. And they were like, 5? What? My daughters, yeah, I have a 36-year-old on our team. Are you kidding me? And I felt really sorry for that family because I feel like they just decided to, let's just have the play day of a Saturday. Let's have a day and go to the aquarium. And they did not know what they signed up for. And I'm like, yeah, sorry you couldn't find any parking and that the aquarium is full and that there's just people everywhere with hair pieces dangling from their backpack. But anyway, day one, it was just fun. And I was so proud of her. And she surprised us. They changed up their routine and there's going to be a surprise. And she came out, she was front and center, which I don't think she has ever been. She was front and center by herself when they set and when they started their routine. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so awesome. And I was like, what a fun surprise. I loved that. Day one, it went pretty well. Gave her a hug and we all were tired. We kind of just went back to the hotel, got some food and got back to the hotel. At some point in the weekend, Abby and I were walking to Starbucks, as one does. Shout out to the Marietta Street Starbucks in I believe it's the Hilton. They were ready for us. They were ready. Not only were they ready in terms of long lines and not having to have a long wait time for our order, they were ready with the pink drinks, with the strawberry-based drinks. I overheard the manager talking about, I wasn't prepared last year because I didn't know, but we were ready for you guys this year. Like I ordered extra of the strawberry. They had 4 people just making strawberry drinks. I overheard one of the cashiers going, okay, I have to go to the bathroom, so I'm leaving Strawberry Island for just a minute. I was like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing, but that's funny. So Abby and I were just walking around and we had to cut through Centennial Park to get to our hotel. And so we were just walking and through the park and enjoying a conversation in a Starbucks. And we were just talking about her cheer career and how being at this gym has been such a different experience for her. And how we've both learned that different gyms, different programs have different cultures. And I knew that on an intellectual level, but plugging that into her personal experience was a very interesting conversation. And like I said in a few episodes ago, talking about Colorado cheerleading, and it's a small community and there's a lot of gossip. I did have people that were like, what's the story about her going to Steel Athletics? And I was like, is there an open team at Cheer Athletics Denver? No. There's your answer. There's the story. There is no controversy. In fact, her coach wished her well. They had a conversation and Abby was like, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up that I was invited to be on this open team at Steel. And her coach was like, good for you. Have so much fun. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. That was it. There's no controversy. There's no bad blood. There's no nothing. But it gave her a chance to see how other coaches do things, how other gyms, again, those values and what their values are. And we had a really good conversation about that and things that she's learned from the culture of All-Star, from being a competitive person and becoming an adult, and how all of those things integrate with each other at a new gym and being an athlete, being an adult athlete. It was just a really good kind of one of those reflective, deep conversations. And we talked about both of our core memories in cheer. And I was telling her some stories about Cheersport, and she was telling me core memories about her coaches throughout the years. And one of the reasons why she joined this team, she had retired last season and had great reasons. All of her reasons for retiring and coming out of retirement both times were very reasonable, legitimate, made perfect sense. And one of the reasons why she came out of retirement for this team was because one of her cheer besties from when they were like 11 or 12 is on this team. And her first cheer tumbling coach is also on this team. And he was there for every big tumbling milestone. And I would get to be on a team with Jordan. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And now they're in the same stunt group. It's just this really cool full circle moment. And so we were putting all of that together and remember when and these core memories. And so that kind of put me in a spot for day 2. I was all in the feels. It was all in the feels. Now knowing that she was going to be front and center, I was front and center in the crowd so I could get a video. And they had pretty much the routine of their lives, as we say. They were hitting everything. And when they start hitting everything and the elites hit and things are going well, I get even more nervous because it's like, you are so close. I think I would rather, if they're going to have a deduction, I think I would rather it happen earlier in the routine rather than later, because for me, it hurts more when I'm like, oh, they were. So I get more and more nervous as the routine goes on and they're hitting. And I was in my feels. The Bavarian punch that I had may have contributed to it just a little bit, but I was already starting to cry. And I look over and one of her itty bitty baby flyers from when Abby was 10, and this flyer, Charlie, she couldn't have been older than 5 when they first started. She was teeny tiny. Charlie has been her flyer off and on throughout the years. They've been on the same teams throughout the years. And now Charlie is all grown in high school on a world's team. And she was there front and center cheering for Abby, for their coach, because they've had the same tumbling coach. And she's like in tears. She's screaming. And I grab her hand and she lets me squeeze her hand so hard while we watch this routine, this beautiful routine happen. And I'm just having all of these full circle moments with the coaches on her team, and baby Charlie is holding my hand and is like being emotional support for me. And she's screaming. I mean, it was just all of the feels, all of the things. I actually had a video of Charlie and people are like, why were you taking a video and not watching the routine? Because I get pictures and video of the coaches sometimes, and this time I got video of Charlie. I'm like, I'm a photographer. Like, I can hold my camera one way and be looking a different way, and I know what's happening. They finished the routine and lost it. I lost it. I saw some cheer moms that were there supporting her that I've known for years, and they see me about to cry and they're like, don't start crying. I'm gonna start crying. And I lost it. And my heart exploded in the form of just leaking out my eyes. These cheer moms that I've known forever, like we were just hugging and crying, and it was just that full circle. It was like, look at them, like they're successful adults, and they were just successful on one of cheerleading's biggest stages. And that's the thing. Did they win a paid bid? No. Were they the only team in their division? Yes. But at these events, specifically Cheersport, Jam Fest, NCA, huge. If you have the opportunity to go to Summit and Worlds, the same principle applies. It is emotional just having a perfect or near perfect routine on those stages. It is a lot of stress. It is a lot of people watching you. I'm not an athlete, but Abby has hit at NCA and has hit at Cheersport. And those are the things that I have remembered beyond winning any kind of award or making it into finals, like making it into finals at the Summit and at Worlds and stuff. That's a whole other feeling, and it's awesome. But just hitting, especially when she's been at smaller programs. We went to Cheersport with, I think, just 1 or 2 teams from our program one year. And I don't want to call it a bad experience, but it was a little deflating when you only have like 20 parents there in this huge VIP viewing area. No, the kids can't hear you cheering. And then they have a mistake. They have a deduction. And I think that the kids are embarrassed when they know that they're not at the level of being in contention to win, and they don't have a very big crowd coming to see them, and then they make a bunch of mistakes. It can be demoralizing when you have so many things working against you. I'm not saying that having a deduction at any of these events is shameful by any means, but when you just don't have a lot going for you, it can just be all the more exponentially disappointing at these bigger events. Just the feeling of watching them hit, having a huge crowd cheering them on, because we support each other at the gym. Other teams watch their buddy teams, and then you have coaches. There's a gym owner from another gym on this team, so his gym came to watch him. So they had that energy was there. And these like TGLC parents have told us the kids feed off of the energy that the crowd gives them. And I got to experience that at this event with this team specifically. And then you with the full circle moments and the Bavarian punch. Yeah, like it all just hit me. And it was really special. And I just ran to her and hugged her, and I didn't care what their score was going to be. I didn't care if their difficulty was going to be at a certain level. It was a really cool moment. They got to do the winner's circle thing. They got to run out with their Cheersport banner. They got their jackets. And I know a lot of cheer moms poo on, do they really deserve all of the hype if they're the only team in there? Why compete if you're the only team in your division? Why get a jacket if you're the only team in your division? And with this experience specifically for me, and I haven't really asked Abby about it, I made a couple of comments to her that this is the accumulation of all of your hard work in cheerleading. This is you hitting at freaking Cheersport with all of that stress and pressure all the way across the country. And this is for the 8-year-old version of you who couldn't catch a break because of injury or circumstance or whatever. I think that it's important to look at the whole picture and the accumulation. I was like, heck yeah, she deserved that jacket. Heck yeah, she earned that jacket. If you're the only team in your division, first of all, you're competing against yourself and your own personal best. But I see it as that means that not very many gyms in the country can put together a team like this. And that is an accomplishment in itself. So I'll leave you with this. Cheersport is still one of my favorite events. The experience goes beyond the 2 minutes and 30 seconds that they are on the mat. And if you have an adult child who continues to compete in cheerleading, they still need their moms. They still need their mamas. I was pleasantly surprised at how much she needed me, but even more than that, she wanted me around. And if there is a personification or a portrait of feeling like a successful parent, is when your kids want you around. And especially in that setting where a cheer mom can tend to hover, and I can hover, and kids not wanting them around. Like it sure was special that she's like, can you do my hair? And getting to share those moments with her. So it was a good time. It's a great time. I will be going to NCA. She is not competing at NCA, but we will be at the summit. It's official. We have an at-large bid to the, they have an at-large bid. I've done nothing. At-large bid to the summit. See you in Orlando in May. I don't want to jinx anything, but this team is pretty good. So I'm excited to see what happens. That's their next competition. They don't have any other competitions between now and the summit. So they're going to be working hard at their once or twice a week practices. That's the thing. And they hit on one of cheerleading's biggest stages with one practice a week with a new routine. And they're adults. Okay. Thank you guys. Make sure to do all the things. Subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with a friend, share another episode with a friend. Until next time, it's just cheerleading. Hang in there. We've got this.
What up, party people? This is Jason Larkins, host of the Let's Talk Cheer podcast, and I've teamed up with Kristen Wheeler of the Cheer Mom podcast and Dan Cotton of the Cheer Biz podcast.
That's right. Hey, everybody, Kristen here. We know that you love cheer, so why not dive into more perspectives? Tune into my podcast, the Cheer Mom podcast, for cheer issues spoken from the parent's perspective. Then head over to Dan's podcast, the Cheer Biz podcast, to learn from a gym owner on how to run a successful cheer business. And of course, don't miss the Let's Talk Cheer podcast featuring Jason Larkins, the one that we all know and love, where they talk about cheer from a coach's perspective.
Which means whether you're a coach, a cheer parent, or a gym owner, we've got you covered. Find all 3 podcasts on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay tuned for new episodes each week.